Hello, everyone. I'm Angela Mayer, and I'm a fifth-year landscape architecture student, and I'm also the president of the student chapter of American Society of Landscape Architects. And I've had the privilege of getting to know Professor Blake Belanger through the classes that I've had with him and also through our student organization. And I speak for all of my peers when I say that Blake is not just our professor, but he's our friend. And he builds relationships with each of his students, and because of this, we feel more comfortable around him. And we know we can approach Blake, and that when we approach him, he will listen to us and understand us. And he pushes us to think more critically and creatively, and therefore that influences us and inspires us, not only as designers, but also as individuals. So with great pleasure, I introduce Professor Blake Belanger. Sorry.
I'm inspired by the power of design. There's a common misperception that design is something you're just born with, that it's something that can't be taught. But in landscape architecture and planning, we believe that design can be taught. And I believe design can be taught by unlocking the creativity and teaching students to apply critical thinking in resolving problems. Tonight I'm going to talk about a landscape architecture studio that's taught to mid-level landscape architecture students. This is a course that I've been developing the last few years with Jason Brody, Howard Hahn. That's not supposed to be a funny picture. Jason Brody, Howard Hahn from my department, and with great support from Ellen Nerton from Hale Library, who is literally in our classroom, Adriana. In this class, we work with cities. And for those of you who have worked with cities before, you know that cities have lots of variables, lots of interrelated things going on that are changing constantly through time. They're a type of wicked problem. And our students, when they arrive at K-State, they don't have a lot of experience typically dealing with wicked problems. But they do have a lot of other kinds of experiences. They all have personal expertise at doing something. They also have a tremendous reserve of knowledge in everyday experiences. So the question becomes, as design educators, how do we help our students apply this kind of knowledge to become better designers and to address wicked problems? Everyone has a body, everyone eats food, and everyone has lived with someone else at some point in their lives. So we ask students to apply their knowledge about these things to make maps and to make arguments so that they can create sophisticated planning and design proposals for the communities that we're working with. We do this through two exercises. Well, we start our process through two exercises at the beginning of the semester. The first one has to do with the body. So the first day of class, we ask the students to close their eyes and think about a body movement they're very familiar with. Welcome to class. And so we give them some time to think about this, and then we ask them to come up and do some demonstrations, which is a great way to break the ice because the professors don't know how to tango. And so they think about a body movement, and it could be anything. It could be swinging a golf club, taking a penalty kick, swimming, horseback riding. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's something that they're familiar with. Then they go back to their design studio. We give them about a half hour, and they come back with drawings that look something like this. What's this? Anyone know what that is? Yoga, that's right. These are yoga poses. And this is a pretty good drawing, because the student understands that when you're doing yoga, your body is in different positions at different points in time. We talk about these, do some more demonstrations, and we send the students back to studio to do another set of drawings, and they come back like this. At this point, they have not drawn the body. They're focusing on the movements that allow the body to go from one position to the next. So we go through several iterations of this until we finally arrive at some highly distilled, highly abstracted diagram that defines the thresholds, the balance points, the forces, the flows of that motion in a highly abstract way. Anyone guess what this is? Something that starts low, goes high to a target, and then drops back down low again? I'll take guesses. What? A spider? You might want to run, but it's not a spider. What is it? Downward facing dog. You might want to face down. You will be facing down after you receive a Taekwondo kick. because this is a Taekwondo kick in a diagram form, and this is the kind of drawing we're hoping our students arrive at. One that brings together the forces and flows, the things that are invisible, that we can't see, to the body as it moves through time. And the students learn a lot about these things that they thought they had a lot of expertise about, that they do have a lot of expertise about, like the target point for throwing the clay down on the pottery wheel, or the relationship of where the hand movements and the notes on the page and the sounds that emerge from the instrument, how all those things come together. Or, why not, walking in high heels. Notice the relationship of hip movement to heel placement. So why does all this matter? Why is this important to planning and landscape architecture? After this exercise, we ask the students to reflect on the things they can't see, the flows, the forces, the balance points, and the things they can, the body. And then we say, for the rest of the semester, this is how we want you to think about cities. In the second exercise, we ask them to think about food and roommates. And in this one, this is the second day of class, we give them a list of questions that we'd like them to answer. And each question is related to a different type of argument. We give them a few minutes to answer questions. Then we take some volunteers and we write their answers up on the board. And what we learn through this exercise, and what the students learn, is that they're already experts at making arguments, at all 5 types of arguments. They do it every single day. And if you think your roommate is like a prairie dog because she's energetic and she can burrow, then you know how to make that claim and how to support it with evidence. So at the end of these 2 really short exercises, the first couple days of class, our students understand how to express body motions, and they understand that they are experts at making arguments. For the next 4 weeks of the class, we have them do research, and we have them produce a series of critical maps that will help them to learn about our study area. Last summer, it was an 18-mile corridor of US 40 east of Kansas City. And each week, the students will make 3 maps. And each map is sort of ramps up the complexity of the argument. So the first map is a simple argument, the last map is very sophisticated. And in this example, this student was looking at understanding which watersheds we could have the greatest influence upon in our study area. So we identified 4 that our study area crossed, with the target in the middle being the one that had the greatest influence. Then within that area, where are the greatest opportunities with existing development to make a change to improve water quality? So he did an evaluation of that zone. And then lastly, he created a complex proposal argument about how to intervene in water that's flowing off parking lots, to capture it in rain gardens before it goes into our sensitive waterways. So at the end of this 4 weeks, our students have created a vast new amount of knowledge. Usually there are over 200 maps that we create over those 4 weeks. And then in the second half of the semester, the next 4 weeks, we concentrate on developing, a series of proposals that will be valuable to the residents and the stakeholders of the communities with which we're working. And these proposals can range, they typically range pretty widely. Some of them include things like establishing local food networks that connect growers to education centers to distribution points like farmers markets, or strategic interventions in struggling downtown neighborhoods, or replacing big box stores and vacant parking lots with new town centers, or transforming the Truman Sports Complex into a transit-oriented community. Some of the proposals are much more tangible, short-term, inexpensive types of proposals, like this one that retrofits a struggling strip center into a place of local commerce and social vibrancy. So from the humble beginnings of drawing yoga poses and Taekwondo kicks and thinking about everyday things, our students are able to prepare sophisticated planning and design proposals that are valuable to the people of these communities and the stakeholders, especially as they look towards their future. And this studio is just one small way that the faculty in landscape architecture and planning are preparing our students to become leaders in their fields. I'd like to close by telling a still unfolding story about 3 students who took this course in 2011. These guys, who are sitting right over there tonight, along with one student from KU and one student from UMKC, entered the ULI Urban Design Competition for students. This is the most competitive and most prestigious competition of its kind. And this, I should say, is under the leadership of Professor Jason Brody. From a field of nearly 150 entrants from across the country, our K-State team was chosen as one of 4 finalists to present in Minneapolis for the grand prize of $50,000. So in April, our students will be presenting alongside teams from Harvard, Yale, and Purdue. Yeah. This is a tremendous accomplishment for our students, just to make it to this second round of this competition. But they still have a lot of work to do. You still have a lot of work to do. But it speaks to the quality of the design education that our students are getting at K-State. And it speaks to the potential that our students and our graduates will have in shaping the future of our cities. And what's really exciting is it shows us all what happens when we're able to apply creativity to solving wicked problems. And it shows us what happens when we apply critical thinking to addressing wicked problems. And what's most inspiring to me is it shows us all the power of design. Thank you.